Do you want me to look at you or at the camera? Yeah. Yeah, I started on piano, and then I started playing organ a little bit later after I'd been doing piano for a while, and got into composition kind of after that. All through life playing organ, it was really kind of strictly playing repertoire, and especially coming from North America, there's not as big of an improvisation tradition as I think there is in Europe. I think at a certain moment I felt like I wanted to express a different kind of approach that was maybe more personal to me at the organ, and at least for the moment, I think the way that I feel the most comfortable doing that is through composing and through improvising. I listen to a lot of ambient music. I'm really interested in like sound textures and soundscapes, and what I can do with the organ and also with electronics to kind of build these atmospheres with different layers of texture and sound colors. So the organ's kind of a perfect vehicle for that, I would say. The sounds of the instrument are really beautiful, so I want to be sure to highlight these acoustic sounds, but also to do some electronic manipulation with that and maybe kind of add different kinds of textures and colors with the electronics. So in order to do that, I've got two really small microphones that I've placed inside the organ to capture the sound of the organ pipes. So those are kind of in the back of the organ, they're inside the organ case. It's difficult because, of course, there's hundreds of organ pipes in here. And so if you place, the microphone too close to one pipe, you're going to mostly capture that. So I've placed them as high up as I could reach, mounted to this door in the case. The microphones are connected now to the mixing console, which I've got right over here. And so the mixing console is sending the sound of the microphones into these effect devices. So I've got 4 effect devices that I brought with me. One is this is just a Eurorack skiff, and I'm using this Morphogene, which is like a granular sampler. And I've pre-sampled certain sounds that I'm working with, and I can recall those samples and then manipulate the grains for that. And then I've connected this to 3 units right here. These are guitar effect devices. I like working with these with the organ for different kinds of things. So the Rainbow Machine, this for one thing is a harmonizer, so I can manipulate the pitch and add different layers of pitch to it. And it also does some kind of cool flanging effects. Then this Chase Bliss Mood pedal, which I really like a lot. It does several things. For one thing, it samples sounds in real time. You can then apply different kinds of delays and reverb and other ways of sort of stretching and working with the sound grains themselves. And then I'm running this is just purely a delay pedal. This is the Nova Delay TC Electronic. I like this delay pedal because it gives a lot of flexibility over the parameters, and it has some really cool kind of overdriven effects. When you start to have the feedback up a little higher, you can get some very nice distortions in the sound that blend really nicely with the acoustics of the space and the organ. That's basically what I'm working with. Sometimes I'll run it also through my computer and do some effects on my laptop, but I think for this concert I'm going to stick with just these devices. And then of course the organ itself, there's so many sound possibilities just within the purely acoustic organ pipes. So I want to leave a lot of space to highlight that as well. On the keyboard, I'm sometimes playing in a more traditional way, but I'm mostly approaching this in a way to build sound layers. So I've got a lot of these blocks. So these are lead blocks, so they're very heavy. So I can place them on the keys and sustain the sound this way. I can build some textures this way. And then this, once I place these, it allows me to manipulate the sounds in ways with the registers themselves. So, for example, the valves partially open, partially closed to manipulate the wind that's being supplied to the pipes. I can do other effects when I'm combining, adding different registers. So here I like working with the beating of the sound, the wah, 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 and you can. So you can hear that beating kind of coming in and out as you do that. And one of the things I'll do here is to add some electronic sounds to this. Some of the samples that I've taken here are mechanical noise from the organ. So sounds of the organ mechanics. And this is something that I can now work with a little bit, process with some other effects. So adding some delays here, you can hear the sound kind of start to transform. And now I'm going to just change the sounds that I have preset here. Turn the motor back on. So this gives me a kind of bass texture to work with and explore. With this organ, it's a very, very beautiful instrument. Absolutely love making sounds on this kind of organ, but as you can see, it's one keyboard, and the pedal only plays the same sounds that are on the keyboard. So this is perfect. You're playing 17th, 18th century music, Italian, South German music, lots of repertoire that works very, very, very well on this instrument. It's the sounds of these organ pipes are gorgeous. They have so much texture in them, so much beauty in them. When you're playing this kind of music, you have to approach this kind of instrument differently than I might, a larger organ with 3 or 4 manuals and lots of other kinds of sounds. So one of the challenges on this organ is, of course, when you have the ripieno, it's quite loud and quite aggressive. I mean, aggressive isn't the right word, but it's bright. It has lots of color and lots of energy in the sound. A lot of the music that I tend to work with in composing and improvising is very delicate sounds. So it requires maybe some different techniques and approaches to find those really, really delicate sounds within this very, very bright and colorful sound world. I think being here on San Servolo, you feel this calm. Everything is so quiet, and you're just surrounded by all this water, of course. I mean, we're in Venice. But here especially, just kind of sitting by the water and feeling the sun and just with the waves, the very calming effect of that. I think the organ, you can think in a very similar way to the sea, with these slow ripples and these waves, and sometimes it comes in larger influxes, and sometimes it's very calm and settled, and sometimes there's just very light fluctuation within the sound. And so I think in that sense, being by the sea is an inspiration. It's my first time in Venice. It's actually my first time in Italy, and it's just beautiful. I think there's something about just kind of walking through the city, and I think especially walking through the city late at night, it's like this deep sense of calm after all of this chaos. In the afternoon, it's just so crowded with people everywhere, and then you're in the same place, the same environment, and just suddenly everything is transformed into something really different and kind of magical. And so maybe in the same way, that's what I'm trying to do with the organ. We'll see.